The movie begins in the woods where a man wakes up to find himself partially naked and chained by his throat to a tree. He desperately tries to free himself, but when his strength gives in, he stops struggling and sits down to rest. While contemplating what to do, he hears a vehicle approaching the nearby road, and instead of asking for help, he retreats into the woods and tries to hide behind one of the trees. The car soon stops near him, and the driver stares at him for some time before driving off. But not long after, the driver takes a U-turn and returns. The man looks frightened and desperately yanks at the chain to free himself before the car reaches him, and we can only assume the reason for his panicking. It appears to be a man, but it is too dark to see his face. They take out what may or may not be a weapon covered in cloth. The man struggles, but when he realizes he is not getting away from what awaits him, he stops struggling and gives in to his fate. The scene then cuts to a group of people herded together in the jungle, hiding from something. Suddenly, a loud bleat makes all of them run, while one man is left behind. The sole survivor hears a crackling sound and a cry of a woman who was with him a few seconds ago. Terrified, he cautiously proceeds, his eyes darting all over the darkness, and finds a new hiding spot. Just as he thinks he has hidden himself, he feels a presence behind him. We can vaguely see deer antlers behind his head, and there is a growl before it strikes. The man screams, the deer bleats, and the scene cuts to black. Or maybe it's just too dark, I honestly can't tell. In an open field near the forest, a humanoid with a deer head stands holding a shotgun, guarding the place. Soon, a truck full of people is brought into the slaughterhouse. The people look terrified as the gates of the truck open, and they huddle together, not ready to step out, frightened of what might happen to them. The blinding lights in the stockyard are pointed to their faces, and suddenly, a bull appears in front of them, making them run out of the truck. All the humans run on the ramp and reach their designated area, but when one of them stops and refuses to go with the others, the bull makes sure to smack him with an electric baton as a punishment for disobeying. He is then put in with the rest of the people, but the man is not done yet and tries ramming on the electric fence, but gets electrocuted and convulses on the ground. The others are even more terrified now and maintain their distance from the iron barricade. The bull soon comes back to drag the man's body, which is cut into pieces by a horse, and he then transports the freshly cut meat stored in containers to all the other animals, including a dog. The chained man from the initial scene is still alive, and the driver, now revealed to be a humanoid being with a dog head, brings him back to an old store where he makes the man sit and puts medicine on deep gashes and wounds on the man's back. The man cries bittersweet tears as it hurts, but he is thankful that he is being lathered with medicine and not marinade. Later that day, the man gets anxious when he hears a vehicle approaching and looks out the window. He sees the horse and dog conversing, but keeps himself out of their sight, hiding every time they look in his direction. Soon the dog comes inside with a bucket, and the man looks at him with eager eyes. The dog empties out a nail can and uses it to scoop the meat from the bucket. He puts it on the lid and serves it to the man. The man pounces on the food because he has been starving probably for days. The dog has adopted the man and keeps him well fed. The man's injuries that he sustained, perhaps because he was used in fights, are now just scars. Soon the weather changes. However, there is no sign of rain, which dries up the ground. One day, the dog takes the man out with him in his truck. They soon reach a place where a goat opens the gate for them, and after parking his truck, Dog chains the man and takes him inside the building. He ties the man into a tiny, dingy room and walks away, leaving the man struggling to free himself. Meanwhile, the horse diligently does his work at the slaughterhouse, while the humans live in constant terror, thinking they might not see a new day as their numbers decrease daily. one of the women decides to escape, and from a narrow space underneath the fence, she squeezes herself out. At the same time, the bull arrives from the other side of the fence, and upon realizing one of them is missing, he takes out his anger on the other 3 left and electrocutes them with the baton. The woman who escaped covers her mouth to avoid screaming and dashes out once she sees the opportunity, but the doors are closed, which forces her to hide in random dark places where the bull tries to find her, ready to deliver her the punishment for escaping. The woman ends up at the horse's working place behind the plastic curtains after being relentlessly chased by the bull, who soon follows her. She sees the horse as her last hope and hides behind him. Her pleading eyes make the horse give in, and horse confronts bull about using a torture device on the humans. Enraged, he takes the baton and breaks it into 2 pieces before taking the woman with him. They walk together for a little while before the horse stuns the woman on the head, rendering her unconscious and dragging her to the other room where he starts the butchering process. He believes in instant killing rather than torturing humans. Meanwhile, back in the tiny, dingy room where the man is kept chained, he is suddenly dragged and shifted to a much bigger room by the goat. Once he is secured, he sees many dogs around, one of them being the one who saved him and a horse chilling in one corner. They go to the goat and place their bets. The dog who saved him probably had a change of heart, but they get pushed down by the other dogs when he tries to talk to them, and he has no choice but to comply. Soon a bear arrives with a haggard-looking man with blood dripping from his mouth and looks devilish as he stares into the other man's eyes. Soon the fight starts and the first man is pinned down and beaten by the second man, but the first man manages to fight back and push him off. He then runs to the dog who saved him, but the other dogs pull him away, even smacking and roughing up the dog to mock him for bringing them such a cowardly man. They push the first man back into the arena, but the man tries one more time to escape. The bear will not let that happen and pulls him back to fight the second man, who knows only one of them will survive. The dogs bark as the fight commences, but the first man breaks free from the other man and runs to the dog who once protected him, hoping to be saved one more time. The other dogs pull him back after much struggle, and seeing him getting out of control, the goat signals Bear to control the situation. The bear fetches his axe, and as the other dogs hold the man down, the bear strikes him with the axe and kills him. After cleaning up, the horse gets the second man into the truck along with the dead man and drives back to the slaughterhouse. There, he cleans the second man using a hose, splashing water all over his face, and takes him inside. While the horse is busy doing his work, the second man checks his surroundings, and after finding nobody around, he sneaks out of the fence. As he looks for an escape, he sees the bull standing at the entrance. Luckily, he is facing the other side and doesn't see the man. The man finds a second escape route and makes a run for it, and as soon as he escapes, the bull bellows, alerting the deer standing at a distance with a shotgun. As soon as the deer hears it, he loads his gun, runs towards the woods, and follows the sounds. We do not get to see how a deer-head humanoid can aim down the sights and hold the butt of the gun against his shoulders at the same time, because as deer catches up with its quarry, it transitions into an actual human hunter, pulling the trigger on what is likely a runaway fighting dog. And that's a wrap for this movie recap. Thanks for watching.